Hi guys, I'm Tinashe.
I'm Wuzani.
We are the Cheaters, and this is Marriage Sucks. Today, guys, we are talking about friendship. We really want to drill into marriage and friendship, right? And the question that I really want to ask you is, should married people, the couple, should married couples be friends?
100%.
They should.
Yes. Because there are times when the romance is just like,
Oh, wow.
the romance like, computer says no.
Oh, wow.
And you have to ride on that friendship. No, I'm being honest.
Doesn't happen to me.
That's no, it wasn't a dig at you.
Hey, that's how I took it.
Don't take it like that.
Just saying.
Okay, before we go into this, do you remember the very, very first lockdown last year? Like, we were cocooned together in our house, in our small house, and let's be honest.
You were bothered. Yes, let's be honest.
It
bothered you, not me.
I never said it bothered me.
Okay.
Listen, can you honestly say, hand on your heart, that period where we spent 24/7 together for 3 whole months, romance was like 100% constantly? Can you say that, hand to heart?
Well, it depends how we define romance.
There you go. Okay. So, this is where I'm saying...
Listen, right. I can say, hand on my heart, that romance never left my heart.
So, in other words, it stayed with you. It never reached here. No, that's not what I'm saying.
I was in it to win it. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
No, babe. One of the key values of marriage sex is honesty and transparency.
Listen.
So don't lie to the people. We weren't romantic 24/7.
I was. You wanted romance in the form of flowers. Well, the florist was closed. I couldn't get flowers, right? But my heart was open.
Guys, okay.
I gave my heart.
No, it's people like you that make single people think marriage is rosy and all that. And we don't want that. We don't want to lie. But anyway, to answer your question, I think friendship is very important because, guys, it's not romance 24/7 in marriage. And sometimes you have to ride on friendship and let friendship sustain you. You know how we sometimes we sit, we laugh, we joke, we send each other jokes, you send me memes, you know, we talk about stuff and we just burst out laughing. That's friendship. That's important because we're not sitting here 24/7 going, I love you. Oh, you're my best friend. Oh, you're my life. Oh, I want to have all your babies and many more babies. And because it's not like that.
Is that
romance.
What you think romance is? Is that what you think it is?
So basically, friendship is important because there are moments where you need to ride on it.
We need to call your aunt, you know. We need to address this. But anyway, okay. So I agree with you. Friendship is absolutely important because there are times, as Wazana mentioned, where you really cannot stand the sight of each other. But
there are no times where I don't stand the sight of you, by the way.
There are. But the friendship keeps it going. It keeps it moving. It keeps everything together because it's those small inside jokes that you have which make the hard days a little bit easier, you know. So I totally agree. Couples, it would be expedient if they are friends. It's extremely advantageous if couples are friends prior to getting married, and then also building that friendship outside of your date life and outside of your marriage. Also cultivate that friendship.
That's a good one. How do you cultivate friendship then?
By sending memes. Send them memes.
Babe, there were people that didn't have, like, our grandparents didn't have mobile phones to send memes. So can you tell me that they couldn't cultivate marriage?
Did you ever see your grandma laughing with your granddad? They weren't friends. Okay.
Mine were. I don't know about your family, but mine were.
Okay, so obviously it's difficult to say how you can cultivate that friendship, right? Because it's dependent on the two individuals. For us, I think what has worked for us is we have uh, somewhat a different sense of humor, and at the same time is very similar in other respects. So we tended to, or rather, guys, let's be honest, this friendship between myself and Ozana rides on me. Okay, if it wasn't for me, it would be non-existent. I send her memes.
Babe, memes are not the definition of friendship.
I send them all damn day.
Babe,
okay,
babe,
yes.
Let's not fool people.
I've been making you laugh every day.
No, listen, because then people will start to think that friendship is sending each other memes. It's not. So you need to be careful.
It's part of it. But that's how I've cultivated a part of our friendship. Obviously, it's also just sitting down and talking, just hanging out with no strings attached.
Okay, I look at it this way. The way I cultivate my friendships with my friends that are not yourself is I put an effort to make sure our friendship is living, it's breathing, it's thriving. So that means communication. I understand. So I have friends that are, we can communicate once a week or once every 3 months or whatever, but whatever works for us. So I take that into our marriage. So I know what makes you rock in terms of us, keeping that vibe alive and us keeping our friendship alive. And then I just make sure I cultivate it.
Is there such a thing as two individuals who are married to each other being best friends?
Oh, so we've moved away from just friends to best friends.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. Am I not your best friend? No?
That's not what we're talking about. Answer the question first.
Okay, then. I'm not your best friend. Great.
Am I your best friend?
Yeah.
Of course you will say that.
No, I wouldn't lie.
So I'm your best friend?
Yeah.
We are best friends.
I don't know if we are best friends because clearly I'm not your best friend, but you're mine.
Okay.
You're one of my best friends.
Oh, now I've shifted from just being a best friend.
No, you are a best friend. You're definitely my best friend.
Okay.
Do you know why I say that?
Why?
Because every time I get good news, I think, oh my goodness, I need to tell Tinashe. Every time I need a pick-me-up and I'm sad, I'm like, I know Tinashe is going to encourage me. I know Tinashe is going to be there. And then they are like the deepest parts of my feelings, my emotions, my whatever, that you understand that other people don't. And I think you get me in a way that other people don't get me either. Mm-hmm. So you're my best friend. So who's your best friend, seeing as I'm not yours?
So okay. Obviously, we have cultivated our relationship to the point that we are each other's best friends. We don't have any secrets. We are very open with each other. We tell each other exactly.
We don't have any secrets.
Not necessarily. We tell each other exactly how we feel, what we are thinking in the moment, and whether it leads to a fight or not. But we are very open with each other, whether it's hurtful or not. We share with each other because most often it's not meant to be hurtful, but one is. So I would say we are best friends, but you've kind of touched on a little bit. Am I your only best friend? And should you have other best friends? If you do.
Well, I had a life before you came into my life. So it's not a matter of Tinashe is in my life, so I've forsaken everything else. So I do have other best friends. Probably the level of friendship that I hold with them is not at the level that I have with you. But I do have other best friends.
It's very important, I believe, to maintain those relationships once you get married. Because more often or not, I have seen that sometimes, of course, it's absolutely understandable, when you get married, you don't have time sometimes to invest in some friendships and cultivate them because you've got
A lot going on.
absolutely, and sometimes it's not always easy, but where you can, I would definitely encourage individuals that if these are positive relationships, positive friendships, absolutely, by all means, I would encourage you to say maintain these relationships, cultivate them, because these friendships become your support system when you definitely need them, especially if they're individuals who you guys build each other up. So it's absolutely,
they have to be the right kind of friendships. But I do know, we say that, but I do know people that that say, my husband is my best friend, my wife is my best friend, and I don't need anyone or anything else, and they're completely happy with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And that's totally fine as well. It's whatever works for you as a human being. Personally, I couldn't function. I need an extra, like you said, sometimes if your friends are people that build you up, you sometimes may need that extra support system.
Absolutely.
So it's good.
Absolutely. So seeing as we are friends and we are best friends, should married couples have secrets? Should everything be out in the open?
No.
Please. So married couples should have secrets. What type of secrets? What type of secrets are you keeping from me? Like, what type of things are you keeping from me?
No, I was kidding. I wouldn't. You know what? This is a very difficult question to answer because I feel like a secret is something that you deliberately hide from someone. Like, it's like one of those things you're like, I am not sharing this, come what may.
I mean, in general, truth be told, we all have things that we are convinced we will go to the grave with.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
But are those things, now, we have to define what those things, which category they fall under. If they are of any detriment to you and I's relationship, I think it's important for us to be open, to have the guts to share those secrets, right? If those secrets, perhaps it's something that I did in the past, which has no bearing on you and I, or something that you did in your past, which has no bearing and has no room of cropping up, you can say it, but...
So are you saying there are elements of your past that you can keep to yourself?
Because I know we've actually had a discussion on this before, or rather a heated discussion about this before. I think for wisdom has to come into play, because for guys sometimes can be very immature in handling certain things.
Thank you for admitting that.
Can you stop it?
Thank you for admitting that.
No, stop it. Let's just move on.
We have it on record anyway, so
yeah.
Okay.
In handling, especially if it's like your past relationships, sometimes it can be a little bit of a struggle coming to terms with certain things and everything else. Especially if you say, I've done this with this many people, or I've done this with that person. That can be, guys can be a bit immature in processing and dealing with that. So in being wise, not necessarily to lie, if there are certain things that you don't have to share for the sake of your relationship, I would go as far as say, don't share it. Now, if it comes up, if you are asked, by all means, do share. Because if the individual finds out now that, if I find out that you lied, it's now a whole different ball game, as opposed to, you know what, it never really came up. We never really touched on it. Because there will be certain things that I may have omitted or forgotten or whatnot, and vice versa. You know, so I think in that, in
that regard.
yeah,
Okay.
it should be. So okay, so we don't have secrets, or we shouldn't. Well, we have secrets apparently. You do, but we are saying that in general, people shouldn't have secrets.
Yeah, especially if you're married, and especially if they're also the type of secrets that have a potential to turn into grenades later on. Then yeah, we shouldn't have them. Although I would say, let's say I have like confidential conversations with my friend about their personal lives, as a perfect example, and they tell them to me in confidence, then yeah, that's another area where you can have secrets, but it's not necessarily your secret. It's not my secret, if that makes sense. That's someone else's life, someone else's confidentiality that they've just confided in me. So it's not a secret. In that sense.
Though, guys, I really want to be frank and honest with you at this moment. If you have a married friend that you confide in and you share your secrets, I want you to know they will share this with their spouse.
No, babe, you can't do that.
But
because
they
then my
do.
friends are gonna think I tell you their business.
I don't know whether you do or not. But my point, the honest truth is, and I've learned this the hard way. Married couples talk, guys. That pillow talk is real. It's no joke. They talk. And you know this.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you on that bit, babe. That because then sometimes they are. For me, I sieve the information anyway, and I see, oh, so sometimes I get information and I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then sometimes it weighs heavily on my heart. Like I carry the weight of people's problems on my heart and on my mind. And then even sometimes you're like, what's going on? What's wrong? And then sometimes I feel like, oh, you know what? Because you're my confidant, sometimes I can just say, you know what? This is really weighing heavily on my heart. I don't need to go into the details of it, but I think just a problem shared. And I think also it depends on the person. Like with you, I know you forget it tomorrow. Perfect, you know. So yes, of course, it's also sometimes unfair to say to a married person, don't ever tell your spouse this, because maybe sometimes it gets too heavy for them. And you know, they just need to sort of say without going into deeper details. But I think, yeah, people can, when it comes to other people's business, I can have a secret. That's totally fine. Well, I feel like it's so heavy. I've had instances where I've had to say to my to a friend, oh, you know what? I think this is just weighing heavily on me. I think I'm gonna, you know, if ever it continues to, I may just share it with Tinaji, because I know when I have conversations with him, he guides me on how to handle X, Y, and Z. And that's how it goes.
Okay, so we are friends. We have no secrets.
Are we going with the we have no secrets? Really? Are we gonna fool everybody? Yeah, let's go with that. We have no secrets. Yeah.
Privacy, right? You and I have one thing. We have a lot of things in common, but you know, most of the fact that we are both only kids, right? My space is important. There are times when I just want to go for a drive by myself. And you know, you've got your ways of dealing with, you know, yourself and spending, looking after you, right? How important is space and privacy in marriage? Is there such a thing as privacy in marriage?
Space, absolutely important if you need it.
Okay.
there are marriages where people don't need space. They can be together 24/7 and they are totally good. And
Like me.
if it works with you,
Romance to be burning.
don't lie to the people, right? If it works for you, fine. Personally, you and I both know that we both need space, so we make it work, and it's important for us, and we have our coping mechanisms of how to deal with that. Obviously, with children in the mix, it gets a bit more difficult, but then as you need to somehow work it out so that it works for the both of you. Privacy, on the other hand, what are you talking about when you mean privacy? Do you mean
So when I say privacy, I'm talking about you are bathing, somebody walks in to use the toilet. You are access to let's say phones, emails, letters, all those things. Are there any boundaries? Do we have any? Is there an element of privacy? Or now that we are married,
it's all down the window?
yeah.
We have to communicate. Like, you can say, I open your letters.
Yeah, because I don't open
I open your
letters.
letters because you don't open your letters.
Yeah.
And then I don't want 10 years down the line to get a grenade come, because so I open your letters. I don't do so now anymore, actually. You don't get many letters now. But when we first got married, like I would literally have like a pile of mail like this, addressed to Tinashe, and I'll be like, what's happening with this guy? So from then on, I open Tinashe's letters. And you don't mind. On other elements, though, I think it's a discussion we would need to have as a couple. Okay, Tinashe, I feel like privacy is important, but I want to have access to your phone whenever I need to. I want to have access to your email. I don't know why anyone would want access to anyone's emails, but then people do whatever they want to do, which is totally fine. So it needs to be a conversation. People have been in relationships that have been very toxic and very damaging. And sometimes they get into a relationship. So I can get into a relationship with you with so much baggage from my past, with insecurity issues, with trust issues, and all of that. And if I haven't dealt with them, and I want the password to your phone and I want the password to your emails, and you're like, no, I want my privacy. To me, that can come as, red flags. Why does he not want me to have a password? So I think there's a discussion there to be had about, I want access to your phone. I want access to your emails. I want access to everything that you have for XYZ reasons. And then you have to say, okay, that's fine, Ozani, you do that. Or no, Ozani, I don't think this would work, and come to an agreement of how you manage it. You opened my parcels during the lockdown. You opened my parcels.
No,
I was like, I don't want anyone. I open your letters, but I don't like my letters being opened.
Yeah, but that's because I only open parcels when it's like the 60th parcel in 1 week. And sometimes it is the case, babe. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's the 6th parcel.
Because we have
in
a child.
4 days.
We have a child. Zaya needs shoes. Zaya needs vitamins. Zaya needs
every
something.
single day something
so
is
I have
coming.
to buy Zaya stuff.
No.
Yeah. So you can't.
Nope.
So I was like, Tinashe, don't open my
sometimes I open because I'm like, what on earth is she buying? Right. But I do agree with you in terms of that communication, because I think relationships, it's important for a relationship to be built on trust. Right. Now, if you are coming in with baggage, it is important for you to be self-aware and understand your weaknesses and your shortcomings, so you can address them by yourself and not put whatever issues you have on somebody else's son or on somebody else's daughter, right? Address your personal issues. And for me personally, as an only child, I'm one of those individuals that I can keep a secret until I die. Like I'm not really bothered because I never had anybody to share certain things with. So my space and my privacy is very important to me. However, I do believe that if it's within the confines of the other spouse is uncomfortable over something, or there is suspicion of something which has risen, right? And you know that you are innocent, allow that individual access to your everything so they can be at ease. So they can be at ease. Now,
sorry, can I get you right? Sorry.
Yeah.
So you're saying if you and I in a relationship and I really have some issues I need to deal with and I want access to your phone, your iPad, your email, then you allow me.
Not issues you need to deal with. If let's say you're suspecting me of cheating, right? Or you're suspecting, you know what, I think you're hanging out with so and so, you're doing A, B, C, D, you know what? And I know I'm not doing that, right? There's no harm in me giving you access. Say, you know what, if you want to have a look at my phone or what, because it will put you to rest. Right? If I hide that and say no, and be too stuck in my ways, it could cause your mind to race.
So whose responsibility is it in a relationship to make sure that it's secure? So if I'm insecure, whose responsibility is it to help me be secure in my relationship?
So there is two parts to it. There's an element, there is personal responsibility. If your insecurity's got nothing to do with me, it's not my responsibility. If your insecurity is to do with me based on my behavior, then I can grant you access for you to see that you've got nothing to be insecure over. Does it make sense? But if it's something that you're bringing into the relationship, it's got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with what you dealt with in your past, and you need to address that.
Okay. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah? So, yeah, keep them passwords.
One thing we didn't talk about, friends of the opposite sex.
Friends of the opposite sex. What's your take on that?
I was going to ask you.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with me having friends of the opposite sex?
It depends. It depends. You do have friends of the opposite sex who also happen to be my friends.
Okay. So are you comfortable with me having friends of the opposite sex that are independent of you?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Exactly. What are you talking about?
So I have a friend of the opposite sex. Okay, not necessarily you don't know. Okay. You know of the friend, right? But me and this person are close. Are you comfortable with that?
It depends when you say close. With every relationship, with every friendship, if you are married, especially of the opposite sex, there has to be boundaries. And you and I have had a lot of these conversations, be it on my part or on your part. There has to be boundaries, right? And as long as those boundaries are maintained, it shouldn't be, marriage is not a prison at the end of the day. People should be free to make friends with whoever they want to make friends, as long as there is respect in your partner, in everything you do, and as long as it is open, and as long as there are boundaries, clear boundaries on both parts.
Sometimes you can have boundaries, you can have all of that in play. Relationships can also be formed through emotional deposits, right? So let's say I go through a lot in my life, I go through trauma or I go through something, and then I confide in you, and then you start to have compassion in me. We are forming a bond there without really knowing or understanding. So boundaries, you can put physical boundaries and maybe, okay, don't call me after 10, don't. But there are also elements where sometimes maybe you can start to create or form a bond through the nature of your relationship. It can be totally unromantic, but it could be where you start to lean on someone, that's not me, for emotional support, or someone else starts to lean on you for emotional support, because that's where it all goes into play.
When you and I go into it, or get into it, right? I shouldn't find comfort in someone of the opposite sex because I am vulnerable. And you shouldn't find comfort or try to lean on someone of the opposite sex because you are vulnerable, knowingly or unknowingly, right? That's why I was talking about boundaries. Those boundaries are important.
But then let's say you and I are friends, and I generally have no other friend that I can confide in, would it be fair to say, I shouldn't, let's say we're not married as an example, would it be fair to say I shouldn't confide in you or be vulnerable with you as a friend just because you're married?
If I'm married?
Yeah.
To an extent, yes. To an extent, you shouldn't, or I shouldn't allow it. It's absolutely important. There are certain things that you can't share with somebody who is married when you're vulnerable and they're of the opposite sex.
Okay. So I think boundaries are very important then. Absolutely. I do know of couples that just don't, that just like me, I don't want you to have friends of the opposite sex. And that's okay too. Marriage is whatever works for the both of you. As long as you keep it working and you keep it burning, that's 100% fine.
Absolutely. Marriage sucks if...
Oh gosh, we've spoken about a lot of things. Marriage sucks if you don't maintain the friendship in your marriage, because you go through a lot of difficult times. You go through times where, sometimes you just need a friend. And if your spouse is not that person, then yeah, you'll feel alone, you feel lonely, and marriage will definitely suck.
Marriage sucks if there is no trust. Your relationship has to be built on trust, and continuously cultivate that trust throughout your marriage, your relationship. It is absolutely important. When trust is one of the hardest things to earn back once it is lost, right? And when that happens, you have to humble yourself, try your hardest to rebuild that trust. Allow that individual to go through the grieving process that they need in order to begin to trust you again. So marriage, in order for marriage to work, there has to be trust. There is no way around that. Thank you so much, guys. We've been the Cheaters. We've enjoyed hanging out with you. You've enjoyed hanging out with me.
As friends, you're now our friends, guys. You're our friends outside of our marriage. Anyway, thank you for joining our session today. Please do make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and you hit the notification button. We do appreciate every single like, every single comment, every single share that you guys put in. So until next time.